So here's a look at a GIF that I got offline that was really, really cool. So if you look here, every picture is different, and they've taken separate pictures and combined them into an animation. So these are all the individual separate images. And if you've done that, if you've taken separate images using light painting, all you have to do is follow the procedures and get them all in a stack. And it's super easy to export it into an animation. So this is what it looks like animated. And as you can see, you can change the timing and it just flips through one picture after the other. But when it does it quickly, it looks like it kind of flows from one image to the next. So you can totally do this with individual pictures, but I'm also going to show you how to take one or two pictures and make it into an animation with different effects. So I want to make this into a animation, a little GIF where it says LOL and the lights or the letters flicker back and forth. So to do that, I could have painted one letter at a time on separate images. But for this one, I wrote it all on one image. So I want to show you how to make them disappear and then come back for the animation. So basically, I need to save multiple files and then combine them together in a GIF. So to do this, I'm just going to use paint. And whenever I paint, I add a new layer over top so that I can always blend it and change it. But basically, I'm just going to take my paintbrush. I'm going to sample. I could use black, but this is kind of like a dark navy. So I'm going to sample that color with my eyedrop tool. Paint over. This, maybe I make my opacity a little lower so it does a little less. This is on its own layer, so I can always modify that later. See, it's on its own layer. Okay, so for this one, I could just go ahead now and save this file. Save as. And I'm going to call this light one. And I'm going to save this as a JPEG, just so it's going to compress it to one layer for my saved image. And then for my second one, I'm not even going to worry about, it's still 2 layers because even though it's a JPEG, because I didn't get rid of the layers yet and I didn't close it. So I'm going to go now and erase part of that with a soft eraser. And look, I'm just revealing one letter at a time. File, save as, and then I'll do this light 2. Save it as a JPEG. And then for the final one, I will just erase this other one. File, save as, light 3. And then, just for fun, why don't we change the color and try different color variations? So I'm going to delete this all together. I just deleted the paint layer because I have those other ones saved. And then I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. And why not, just for fun, have this flicker to a different color? Let's try red. So I adjusted the hue, File, Save As. That's going to be light 4. JPEG. And then I'm not sure if I save the first one in that with the same name. So I'm going to go Save As, just the blue version. Light 5. Okay, so that's just one option. The next thing is you can fade things in and out. So to fade something, it would be a similar matter. You would add a new layer, and you can paint the whole layer with a brush, or underneath this gradient tool within it, you can grab a paint bucket tool. And I'm painting on a separate layer, just painted black. And then I could play with the opacity, save this. So I have multiple versions as a JPEG. Just putting these all on my desktop. Twilight Painting 2. Save it. And then I could save another one with a little less. File. Save as. So it'll just fade basically from light to dark in my animation. Now you might do a combination of these things. And then, so I'm just saving all these files. These are just prepping the files to put them in the animation. Another thing I could do, so this one was the cool one done where they multiplied their face. So for this one, I could add a new layer and maybe I save a version where she's just a little bit darkened out. I save this. So in this, she'll go from full to completely, like fading. She'll kind of fade in. That second face will fade in. Go a little further. Or I could erase it too, the same thing. File, save as. And then maybe one more, so she's completely faded. Another thing that I could do, instead of fading her, I could select it, Control A, Control C, Control V, and she's just now pasted one on top of each other. Control J would have done the same thing, just duplicated the layer. Control T-ing this though, and then flipping it or flipping it horizontally. Hit enter. Once you Control T, you've got to hit enter. You could play with the opacity of this. You could play with the blending modes of this. So that could be kind of cool too. After you flip something, you can even take your arrow and kind of move things if you need to. So you could essentially in an animation do any of this, like save this version, save this version, save this version, save this version. It could be moving across the page if you save each individual version. But look at these blending modes, do some cool things sometimes. So I'm just going to do that. And now look, even if I click with my arrow tool, I could save this version, this version, this version, that version, that version, that version. I could save this version, save that version, save this version, save that version, and then just layer them for an animation. So let's try that. Kind of creepy. I could also like change the color on one of the layers. There's hue and saturation again. So that could be cool too. So I'm just going to file, save as. I'm going to call that 5. And then we'll talk about how to put them all together. So I'm just saving interesting variations of this. And then that one's saved as well. One other thing that you can do is take something like this picture. I just wanted part of the light. So all I did was I took my selection tool and I just grabbed the top portion and I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste it and Control T to stretch it out. So you could take multiple pictures and overlay them in interesting ways. I'm just going to hit enter. So now I have that one on top of this one. So I could play with these blending modes. And actually, I could save this version, save this version, save this version, and have it flicker back and forth like this. That could be kind of cool. I could also take something like this, say, and save this version. Maybe save a little lighter opacity, save a little lighter opacity, and layer something like this together. So I just have to save whatever versions that I want to animate together. So let's try that. We'll turn it really low, like 5%. Save as. We're going to save it on our desktop. I'm just going to start at 10 because I keep saving this one with the same file name. Save. And then this next one is going to be 11. You can kind of visualize what it will look like as you're doing it here, because I just saw it like get a little stronger. I'm going to turn this one up. And then what if you, for the next one, Control T, and you like shrink it or something. You want to make sure it doesn't go off the edge, but you could rotate it. Like so the light moves a little for the next one. If you just do small increments, I'm going to make it bigger actually, just because it's cutting off there. So hit enter anytime you Control T. File, save as. I think we're at 13 here. I'm just saving lots and lots of JPEGs of this. And then we'll do one more fully. Just like a little bit of, there we go. Maybe we'll make it just a little bit bigger too. So it moves. Let's see what that looks like. File, save as 14. JPEG. Okay, so now I have all these experimental things that we've done, and let's put them together into an animation. Okay, so to put this into an animation, what we're going to do is we're going to go to File, and we're going to open them a little different way. So we're going to go to File and Scripts. And File Scripts, you're going to load files into a stack, and then you're going to choose the pictures that go together. So on my desktop, I had all of these ones. The last one I just did, I'm going to start with this because it was kind of nice. I grab the 10, 11, oh, I skipped 12, 13, and 14, hit OK. And it's going to load them all on different layers, one on top of the other. And we can play with blending and things like that in just a second. So you can see it's working. So with any of the edits we've done, you're just going to File, Scripts, load into a stack. Now you can see they're all in different layers. I'm going to go to Window and Timeline. So once you go to Window and Timeline, what you need to do is click on this down arrow and choose Create a Frame Animation. If you want to do a video, you can. You can make this into a video. This is just going to be a GIF though, so we're going to keep it simple. Create a frame animation. Once you select it, you have to like click on the words Create a Frame Animation, and then it's going to put your top layer into the timeline. Well, we want all the layers to go into the timeline. So this little drop down menu in the upper right hand corner, you're going to make frames from layers. So it'll insert all of them. And then these are all 0 seconds, but watch, I'm going to press play. And you can see the movement and you can see it fade a bit. You can pause this and you can have it on a loop. That's what a GIF will do. If these are backwards, you can drag these around and like reorder them if you need to. That actually made it a little more interesting. Maybe you decide you want to add in one more picture. You might have to, go back in and re-edit. Like it would be kind of cool if she blinked or something like that. So this is moving back and forth. You can change this so that the timing's a little different. So it slows on one of them. So you can change all the timing if you want to on each one. If you hold Shift and select them all, you can change the timing all at once on all of them. And just press play. So this could be my animation. And when I'm done, I'm going to File. I'm going to go down to, this is saved a little bit differently. I am going to go down to Export and Save for Web Legacy. When I do this, it should load automatically into this window where it says GIF. And once it loads, if you've used a lot of pictures, it might take a little longer. I can just press save. And I could call this light animation or put your name in that or something like that. And when I hit save, it should save it there. It just takes a little bit longer if you've got a lot of images loaded or if they're large files. Now I have this on my desktop And let's see, I called this light animation, so I'm going to look for it. It's not going to look like an animation at first until I open it in a browser. So I'm going to go here and look for my light animation. It's right here. So I actually have to right click on it and open with. And I have to open it with like one of Chrome or Internet Explorer or something like that to view it in its animated form. And here it is.